Raanan is fat and he's a Jew. He'll tell you something that you already knew. Your favorite movie sucks. Your favorite movie sucks. American Beauty or Forrest Gump. Your favorite movie sucks.
Like one of the movies you listed was Casino.
Yeah.
And I was rewatching it at the time. Casino is one of those movies where like I can list the flaws in it very easily and I can talk about them and I have fun talking about them. But there is a rewatchability to that movie and an interest in that movie that defies the obvious problems.
Yes.
And I feel like you feel similarly.
It is my favorite rewatch movie.
Yeah.
Probably of all of them. I love rewatching it. I mean, talk about a plane movie.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I mean, you want to fly across the country and have a good time.
The two great plane movie directors are Scorsese, and I actually would say Christopher Nolan is a great plane movie. Dark Knight is great on it.
I've watched Inception a million times.
Because they have a preview feel to them.
Yes.
So it's like on a plane. Yeah, it's just so entertaining right away.
It's so entertaining. It's so like... I just remember them. They're longer than you remember.
Yeah.
Like
it's good for a plane ride, yeah.
You eat up most of your plane ride.
We're talking about from West Coast to East Coast and vice versa, right? Yeah. That's why we travel so much. We just love 4-hour plane movies.
Oh, I mean, but that is like a real thing. But I'm like, that also to me speaks to a really great movie is when I'm like, I could watch this thing.
Right.
100
I know. The rewatchability factor,
Because you're never more locked in than on a plane.
Yes.
I think that you get I'm always like, every movie, I think gets an extra half star to full star if I watch it on a plane.
Right. You like it more. I also find that I cry. Have you ever, like, apparently there's science behind this.
Is there science behind it?
That something with the oxygen but makes you more easy to cry on a plane with a movie.
Oh, that's so interesting because I have had a couple like...
I have balled. Like, to the point where other people are like, is the plane going down? No one told me.
I've had a couple like, I am like just covering my face.
Can I ask you what?
I know one that got me was Jerry Maguire.
We just did that the other day.
Murdered me on a
plane.
Murdered you? I just forgot. In my mind, I was like, this is a fun sports movie with a great Tom Cruise performance.
Yeah.
And I forgot, it's one of the best romances.
Yeah.
And just such a believable, like, you just forget how good that monologue is and how much they build her belief in him.
Yes, the idealism. Yeah.
Yes, and like when he comes back, I just remember being like, oh, I forgot. Oh no, I forgot.
Now, are you one of these, like, for me, I don't cry a lot in real life, so every time I cry in a movie, it's very exciting because I'm like, oh, I still have feelings.
I don't cry a ton. Well, I've started crying more and more. It's coming on to me with my age. But I will say I talked about this at one point on stage because I was like, I didn't cry for years.
Mm-hmm.
And then something happened.
Something clicked?
Like one very sad thing happened.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Dog died. I don't know why I'm being so secret about it. Dog died.
Yeah. Probably don't want to cry right now.
But this dog died, wept for the first time in probably a decade.
Okay, yeah.
And then...
You're going with the old male code, like we only cry when someone dies, basically.
Yeah, but then it was like 6 months later, cried again. 3 months later, cried again.
Something got unleashed.
1 month later, cried again. And now I'm...
Okay. I need a pet to die because I still have...
you need one to kind of crack it. Like, it cracked me.
Should I get, like, a pet and kill it just to, like, create some emotional...
I don't think you can be behind the death, though. I think
just to create some emotional maturity?
That's more of a... So I think you have to let it happen to you, which is the tough part.
That makes sense. Yeah, I gotta get a pet. But, I mean, yeah, I'm still in that world where, like, I'm a man. I only cry with a death.
I still fight it back with everything I have.
Yeah.
I'm still, I definitely still have that. And I definitely still have the, like, frustration with myself.
Yeah.
When I start really crying, just being like, you're better than this. You're better than this.
But that just makes you cry more.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the actors. Actors in movies are supposed to not try to cry, right?
Well, it's my number one pet peeve with crying in movies.
Is that they're trying to and not trying?
Is that the amount of times, like, in a movie, the guy is just, like, sobbing.
Yeah, you're like, you're a little too emotionally.
No, and that's like, and to me, it's like when you see like,
yeah, it's like if I have trouble crying, Sean Penn, you should also have trouble crying.
Yeah, Sean Penn just is weeping, and I'm like, I understand that, like, but that isn't how men cry.
They don't have the embarrassment.
Yeah,
they're just like, ah.
And to me, like, I'm trying to think of a good like movie example of it. But
Yeah,
like
really, Mr. Griver, Sean Penn would
when
be like,
somebody-
is that my daughter in there? Not like,
I love it, but like to me, I'm like that is so much more effective is when the actor gives that performance of like
right,
really fighting back the tears. I'm like, that's what I know.
because you want to see in the actor, you want to feel that voice in that character's head going, you're not gay, bro.
I want to
Quit
see
crying,
you do what
know?
every guy does, which is hold it right here as hard as you can. And like in that battle, when I see a guy like really fighting it down, I'm like, that's fucking life.
Because a lot of movies that someone like you'll like Al Pacino at the end of Godfather 3, he's like,
Yeah.
and you're like, no. I don't care if your
Those
daughter just got shot.
screams.
You'd be like, I'm sorry for crying. I cry. I've died on planes. Pan's Labyrinth killed me. Saddest movie of all time.
Yeah, I mean, Disney now I just avoid on a plane altogether.
Okay.
I just can't handle anything Disney.
Yeah.
I've done it a couple times. Every time it ends, and I'm like, why did we do this?
Yeah, it's
And
tough,
Inside
yeah.
Out. Oops.
Yeah,
Did
right,
that one
right.
One time that was
Just crying. Yeah,
just
just
weeping.
yeah.
Weeping.
But it's good. It feels good.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's orgasmic. It feels like you just like not orgasmic, but it feels like you've let something out. You know?
Yeah, you're feeling emotions, and then like, what else has gotten me out of no? The ones that frustrate you are the ones where you're like, I didn't, because like I remember the one like I did watch Inside Out on a plane, but I clicked it being like, you sure, Danny? You're gonna cry, and I was like, do it. Why not? I want to see this movie. But it's like, Jerry Maguire, and there's like a couple others. I'm like,
Inside Out, you should have known better. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Isn't crying one of the characters or some shit?
Sadness. How dare you? Yes. No. I held myself. That was one where I was like, you did this to yourself. You knew what was coming. You wanted this, but then every now and then you get got by one you didn't.
You get got by, yeah.
And you're like, I wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
That wasn't what I was shooting for.
Yeah, but it comes out. Yeah. Well, Casino's not a movie I think you can cry at.
No.
And
Casino Casino, the moral compass is low. The moral compass is De Niro.
It is, yes. And it is, what rewatching this movie, I just keep on thinking, it is probably the most unlikable characters ever in a movie.
The fact that Robert De Niro is the character that we're like, he's making the most sensible, kind decision.
And he's still so, like, everyone is so unlikable.
Yes.
And it's like Goodfellas is different because in Goodfellas the characters are so funny that they're kind of likable because of just how funny they are. And I would say Goodfellas is kind of just like a great comedy in a way.
In a way.
But in this, even though this movie is very funny at times, it feels the unlikability, while I do think is like maybe like could be seen as a flaw, makes it feel really real.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
I think it plays. I mean, I have said like I think Casino is better than Goodfellas. I think they're both incredible.
Yeah.
But to me, Casino is a better movie.
It's
more real. It feels like everybody makes clear decisions. Like Peshy being the one who's probably the most infuriating to watch as a character.
Yeah.
But like, it's so clear why he does what he does. Like everybody makes bad decisions in a way where I go, but I get why they did it.
Right.
The wife, everybody.
Yes.
Like everybody is so bad, but you know why they're bad.
And that's the key, I think, to any like screenwriting. As long as characters don't actually have to be likable, they just have to have their reasons, and you have to understand their reasons.
That's my number one rule when I write something. Is I'm always like, and it's my number one note on any script is I'm like, the second a character is dumb.
Yeah.
In a scene, the second I go, that character is dumb.
Yes,
I get mad.
You want to believe their motives, and that's one of the hardest things. And because I guess that is essentially the character, their motives.
Well,
you know
it's
what I mean?
hardest part about writing comedy to me. The hardest part about writing comedy and acting comedy, it's a big part of acting comedy, is when somebody is dumb and you're like, I have to make it so that this is actually someone who people are like, oh, I get why he would do that.
Right.
Even though he's making,
Yes, agreed. And getting you to understand where characters are coming from and really thinking their reasonings are believable is such a hard thing to do.
So hard.
And it has nothing to do with morals, just simply having to understand where they're coming from. But there is something with this movie where, like, I don't know, it's a hard thing to explain, because I have said before, like, one of the, I didn't even bring this up, but someone said, I think it was actually Colin Quinn who said this, which was intellectually a pretty good critique of this movie, which is that one of the problems is De Niro is also so tough that there's not as much contrast between them. Where if De Niro was more of a neurotic Jewish, like more like John Turturro, there'd be more contrast. And there is some truth to that. Like, it is weird with De Niro and Pesci because De Niro is also
debatably tougher looking.
Yeah, he's tougher looking. He does scary things. So you're not having like a lot of times like with Ray Liotta and Joe Pesci, there's very big differences. Yes. In this, you have like a really tough, scary guy and an even tougher, scary guy.
Yes.
And it also is what makes it like so unlikable. They're both kind of tough, scary guys. But the unlikability makes it feel like you're watching real people because I feel like in real life, people aren't always as likable as they are in movies. Mm-hmm. So even though it's like you're not necessarily like you get this icky feeling watching it.
Completely.
Right? But it's a real icky feeling.
But it's, I mean, like, because then you're like, even Pesci, right? Who were like probably the most irredeemable character.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest stretch of a character.
Yeah.
Of like, particularly, you know, even the way he's introduced, where it's like, so we called in the muscle.
Yeah, yeah.
This guy's the scariest guy in the land. And it's Joe Pesci. And you're like, all right.
But he's so scary.
But then he's so scary in that movie.
Especially compared, I mean, but compared to Goodfellas, he's so much scarier.
So much scarier. So much more just like fly off the handle.
Yes.
Like he is a fly off the handle, the slightest thing, I'll do whatever. Like he's amazing. And then in his ending, it's probably the most upsetting death to watch.
Yes.
Because he's so upset, believably.
It is one of the most disturbing, one of the most upsetting scenes of all time.
Yes.
And as great as Goodfellas is as an entertaining movie, I will say there's not too much weight to the murders in Goodfellas. Mm-hmm. There is a slight, like, you just don't care about who's getting killed. You know what I mean? And in this, I mean, in Goodfellas, you're almost a little disturbed. Like, it's a little disturbing how much fun they're having. The death is almost like an afterthought, and you have to remind yourself, which I guess works. But in Casino, the deaths feel real.
Yes.
And Joe Pesci's death haunts you like no other death in a movie. And it just shows you, I mean, I think this is almost like a Catholic streak of Scorsese, which is that somehow violence, there's something redemptive in violence, and the violence towards Joe Pesci shows that he has a soul. Like the violence, that horrible violence makes you realize that you can't have empathy for anyone.
It's crazy.
It's
crazy when he gets hit by the bat, and you're like, no.
It is crazy.
No, not Pesci.
Yeah. It is. I mean, just talk about that scene for a moment. There's so many reasons it's disturbing. I mean, number one, it's a movie that has music all the time and there's no music.
Yes.
And you're like, you're just sitting there going, Scorsese, put on Donovan. Put on a song.
Give us something.
And I believe he said after that he would never show violence as realistically ever again. And if you look at violence in his movies after that, there's always something very stylized. He showed violence in a completely non-stylized way. Mm-hmm. There is no filter to put it through besides a couple jump cuts. There's no real filter, so you're just watching violence as violence is in a movie that's music the whole time.
Oh yeah, it's so true. God, that scene's it's crazy.
It is so upsetting.
But that's like, to me, but also like just going back to like, and that's the character who the entire time you're like, this is the most irredeemable. What are we supposed to root for here? And then his death is one of the most like
upsetting of all time.
Haunts you for the rest of your life.
But there's a connection there, I think, because he's the toughest guy.
Yeah.
To see a tough guy get beat up and cry like a child.
Yes.
It feels like something's wrong in the universe. Yes. You know what I mean? You're like, no, he should be beating people up. It's a real flip. It's a
And they also do a good job of, they really set up, forgive me if I'm remembering things wrong, but I have watched it fairly recently for the millionth time. There is the scene beforehand where the two of them meet out in the desert.
Which is an amazing scene.
An amazing scene. And you really are led to believe Pesci is going to try to kill him.
Yeah.
And he doesn't.
Yeah.
And there's something about that moment where you're like, oh, he's kind of, all right. He didn't kill him.
Well, it's also like, I think there is what makes him like, okay, Joe Pesci in Goodfellas is purely fly off the handle.
Yes.
I think what makes him scary in this is that he's not only fly off the handle. There's actually a calculation to Pesci in this that makes him scary because he is crazy, but there's a maturity to it. Mm-hmm. And it could, like Joe Pesci had to die in Goodfellas. Yes. He couldn't survive that long because he's just too crazy.
Yes.
But in this is a family man, and he does have calculation. It just feels, I believe Joe Pesci's character is the most authentic, scary depiction of a gangster of all time. And I will say he is by far the best thing in this movie. And like, he kind of, I mean, even though De Niro is an interesting character, Joe Pesci is so authentic.
Yes. I would love to read the screenplay without having seen the movie.
Yes.
And be like, what did this character read as?
I know.
Because he made it so believable. And Joe Pesci is like, to me, a top 5 all time.
I mean, we talk about how great De Niro is, but I'm pretty sure Joe Pesci steals the show in every movie he's with De Niro.
Everything. And also, like, Joe Pesci, to me, I'm like, if you really want to impress me as an actor, do a great drama and a great comedy.
Yeah.
And it's like, you rewatch Home Alone.
Yeah.
And it's like, as we all like, but it's like, you rewatch again, you're like, he's doing unbelievable.
Yes.
My cousin Vinny.
Yes.
He's sensational. Like, he is a top 10 to me.
But why? Yes, I 100% agree. He is the most natural actor of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Him in Raging Bull is incredible.
Yep.
But I'm trying to think, like, why is this feel so much more scary than Goodfellas? And it's possible. It's like, I don't want to, like, for me to understand what works about Casino, it's almost like you have to understand what maybe is lacking a little in Goodfellas, as great as Goodfellas is.
Yeah.
It's possible Goodfellas is like too funny to the point where it's like, like Joe Pesci is so funny in that.
Yeah. I also wonder, like, because there's something, because Goodfellas is the story of Ray Liotta, right?
Yes.
It's his journey from little guy to big guy.
Yeah.
This is the story of, like, we're taking over Vegas.
Yes.
And the way that builds is really pretty.
Yeah.
Like, it builds really nicely. And
Yes.
the way they even, like, break down, like, we now run this casino. Here's how we're going to run it.
Yes.
Like, I love those scenes are incredible.
But there's also, yes, it's incredibly directed. The first 30 minutes are like something you've just never seen before.
Yes.
I mean, when you look at those like Goodfellas and so this, it's like he's working on this level that almost is the style of a documentary where you have voiceover over inserts, but he's filming the inserts, and it's like a very hard thing to do because, like, there's so much voiceover, so you have to figure out a shot to associate with every voiceover. It's not like always clear what that shot's going to be.
I have no clue how he does what he does. Like, Scorsese is one who, like, every time I watch his movies, I'm like, is there 10 million hours of footage on the cutting room table, or is he that calculated? And I think he's that calculated.
I don't know how it's done, and I don't know how this. I mean, it also goes against all screenplay conventions. Like with screenplays, essentially the idea is like, if you cut out a scene and that doesn't hurt the movie, then you don't need the scene. So much of Casino is shit. Like, why is that in there?
You could cut half the scenes.
Yeah,
the guy,
it's like
the entire guy stealing break your hand thing.
It's all
we
details.
never see that character again. The cowboy boots guy.
Yeah,
we never see him again. Who
right.
gives a shit? But those scenes are so, like, interesting.
So interesting. The detail makes you feel like you're watching something real. I would say the scene that clearly doesn't have to be there, which might be one of the best scenes of the movie, is the blueberry muffin scene, which is just one of the. Do you remember this scene?
Which one is it?
He's talking to Kevin Pollak. He's getting upset, and he looks down and he sees there's less blueberries in his muffin than the other guys. And he goes to the cook and he's like, I want equal amount of blueberries in both muffins. And it just shows you how anal De Niro is. But I really think what makes this movie feel also really real is that there's absolutely no moral compass at all. Like in Goodfellas, there's still this conscience Ray Liotta has, and there are parts where he's actually like try to do the good thing. It's very lacking, but he still tries to keep De Niro from killing a guy at one point. You still see him upset. There is no real conscience I mean, De Niro is upset at Pesci, but only because of the heat it's going to bring on him.
The moral compass of this movie is our illegal casino isn't going to work.
Yes. So people have their reasons. They want to succeed, but there is no morality.
Yes.
And it makes it so unlikable. And yet, that lack of morality feels so real because you just don't. Usually, every movie is almost had as like a comfort, some moral compass, just some. And it's completely gone in this.
Yes.
And you feel like you're watching like the stuff in reality where people really don't have a moral compass.
Yes.
And you feel you don't have Like you don't have a comforting thing to hold on to.
No.
And that makes it feel very real.
And so captivating.
So
and also
captivating.
like, yes, like you're right. Like there is like, you're hunting, again, the whole movie, you're like, I guess De Niro is who I'm rooting for.
It's like you have no choice.
guess.
Yeah, I guess. You're like, this is an anal guy who is like scary himself.
Because even like, Sharon shows up and you're like, oh, she's nice.
Yeah.
Like she's a hustler too.
Yeah.
By the way, also bad when he meets her. She's a bad person.
They're all bad people. It's like Scorsese took movies to another level where you're like, oh, we're going. I feel like a lot of Scorsese movies, he kind of shows how unlikable he can show characters.
Yes.
And I actually think with the killing of the, what's it called? No, the killing of the Flower Moon. What is it called?
Something of the Flower Moon. What is it? Golly.
Jesus Christ. Killing of the Sacred. I keep on. No, that's Killing of the
In our
Sacred
defense,
Deer.
it is the longest title to a movie. It is insane that we have.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Okay.
I actually think he honestly finally took it too far where I'm like, I cannot, like these characters, like I couldn't wrap my head around Leonardo DiCaprio saying he loved that woman while he's poisoning her. I'm like, but like Casino's like, the characters seem so much more likable in Goodfellas and they're fucking mobsters.
But I credit so much of it to the acting.
The acting, but yes, the acting. And
let us not forget Rickles.
Yeah, Rickles is amazing. But like, it comes down to De Niro because Ray Liotta is very charming in Goodfellas. De Niro is not charming in this movie, and that's kind of what makes it feel more real.
Yes.
He's not funny.
Yes.
He's not funny. He's not warm. And that's where you feel like you're watching something real. Every movie has up till then had some kind of safety net.
Yes.
It might not be characters being good, but when they weren't good, they were funny as shit or they were charming. De Niro is not good or charming. And it's maybe bad from a character sense, but also makes you feel like you're watching real people.
Yes. It is the most, that's why it's so rewatchable.
Yeah.
Like the second you start rewatching it, you're like, God, I'm just dropped in.
And I don't know why. I don't know why I'm caring about these people.
Yes.
And it is bizarre. Like, it is the most unlikable movie, and that makes it feel like really real. I guess we're just like, I think it's the lack of charm of
James Wood.
The most authentic, sleazy performance of all time.
Of all time.
Just incredible.
All time. Again, in a world of the sleaziest people,
Sleazy
he
people ever.
somehow comes off as you're like, he's the sleaziest of them all.
It is the most authentic. I think Joe Pesci is the most authentic gangster of all time in that movie. And I think James Wood is the most authentic sleazebag of all time.
He's obviously become an interesting character over the course of his life.
Yes.
He's really matured into a fascinating place.
He's really tried to make his characters seem better than he is as a person.
He is fascinating, but he is like, I always rewatch, every time I rewatch that performance, I'm like, he is
people don't talk about it enough. It's like James Wood in that movie is sleaziness incarnate.
And can you imagine the pressure that you would feel? Like, I think about this as like how at my level of acting, which is usually like I'm coming on, like so many times I'm coming onto a set. Everybody here is a legend.
Yeah,
they're so good, and I have to attempt to hold my own. Can you imagine being like, you're going to be in a gangster movie directed by Scorsese? You have Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro, and you are the sleaziest one of them all. You have to, without even getting to see a lot of their performance, just know we have to meet your character and think you're the worst of them all. And he delivered.
He delivered, and I think one of the reasons we're both charmed by this movie in a way like a girl or something, where it's like, I think our attraction to this movie, maybe a lot of like hardcore, because I think deep down we do like this better than Goodfellas, and we feel a little embarrassed by it. But
it's why I said it to you. I was like, because immediately I was like, I love the old mobster movies. I love all those old Scorsese's, and then I was like, Casino's the one.
I think it's because maybe for me at least, I don't ever feel like I fully understand it, why it works. And like that keeps me going back to it. I think the writer David Edgar said the reason we get obsessed with songs is because we don't fully get them and we just keep on going back to them. And I feel like Casino's like, I don't fully get how it works. And I'm like, even James Wood, he is so captivating without saying a word.
Yes.
Just the first shot of him, you're like, that's the best performance of a sleazy person ever.
The scene where he is at, like, De Niro sits down across from him, and the way he just like
it's amazing,
completely belly up.
Yeah, yes, and
that sleazy and that just fully bellied up.
And the way he talks to Sharon Stone, where he's like, "Where are you? Where are you?" Like the way he's like accusing her of not being present. Where are you going? Like the manipulation which he talks to her.
Yeah.
I mean, there is something about this movie. It's even the ending when all the people get killed at the end, right? It's the oldest motherfuckers shooting old people. It's like hilarious. There's like even that I'm obsessed by. Like the guy in Costa Rica, he's like an old guy, and he's getting shot by two really old people.
Yes.
And there's something so sad about old mobsters shooting other old. There is a sleaziness to this movie that feels so real.
Yes. God, it's good.
Because it has no humanity, and yet still humanity. It's almost like the movie's saying humanity happens. Even if you try not to give characters humanity, you'll still find something.
Yeah, it's almost like, because there's so much in screenwriting where it's like, you have to give the characters humanity. You have to.
Yeah.
And it's like, almost like your audience will do it.
Yeah. Or like.
We'll hunt for it.
We'll hunt for it. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's not to get political, but like, I think people still think Trump has humanity and still like kind of looks for it, even if he doesn't show evidence. You know what I mean?
I find... I mean, not to get political.
Yeah.
I find so much humanity in Trump.
Yeah, I mean,
I think he's incredibly human. I think the moments where you see his humanity are some of his best moments. And the amount of times I go, I wish that version of Trump existed 99% of the rest of the time, where it's like you see these moments with him where you're like, oh no, he's such a person.
Yeah, like he's funny.
And it's every politician. I'll even take away from Trump. Every politician. I spend so much time being like, God, I wish I felt like you were a human.
Yeah.
You know, like so much, like even Kamala was like, you know, throughout that entire run up to the election, the amount of times I was like, just be a person.
Yeah.
Even if it's unlikable just be who you are. We hunt that from politicians and we never get it from them.
Right. And I think you're right. And maybe it's because what really works with characters is just a believable motive. Mm-hmm. And maybe we're just not convinced by their motives.
Yes.
And in Casino, you do understand their motives. And that's maybe the most important rule of screenwriting. Characters don't need to be likable, but you need to understand what they want.
Yes.
And you understand you understand that De Niro likes this illusion that he's legitimate, even though he's not.
Yes.
He's buying into this illusion that he's legitimate. And when he gets the gaming things taken, and he has an ego,
yes,
he wants to do everything is right. And when he gets the gaming license taken from him, he's so bruised because the illusion of legitimacy is being taken from him. And you understand Joe Pesci wants to fucking make a lot of money out there.
Yes.
And he hates De Niro's hypocrisy.
Yes.
So you understand it all. And like, morality doesn't really matter. You just want to understand their needs.
Yes.
And they need to be believable.
All these people have such... and they're all introduced. Like, that's the thing he does very well. So every character is introduced, and it's like, this is who this person is.
Yeah.
And here's why they're here, because they want this. And you're like, great.
Well, and especially the opening, like one of the greatest monologues is that opening scene when they're showing the casino everything, and then it cuts to the shot of the desert, and you just hear... Joe Pesci's monologue in that is one of the greatest monologues ever. He just the way they talk about killing when he goes, a lot of holes in those deserts.
Yeah.
A lot of problems get solved in those holes. Just the idea of talking about killing like it's just a problem you have to solve.
Yep.
And then I'm going, but you got to be smart. You got to have the hole already dug. Because if not, people might show up. You can dig a couple more holes, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just such an authentic monologue.
Yes.
And like... And it's just, it does, I think someone read a review once, it feels like eavesdropping on people. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it just feels, so there's just realness to it. But it is also like a fascinating character study with his interest in Sharon Stone. Mm-hmm. And that is something where it's like, the way the movie, like what works about the movie, it's also De Niro's role. That whole part is actually very... You're like, is it not developed, or is it just interestingly in a real way? Like the fact that he invests so much in her.
I think it's because he is such a calculating character.
Yes.
And he is like literally hunting legitimacy.
Yes.
Like he really, like you really believe that he believes like, we'll just do this legitimately.
Yes.
And like, and then, so he's so calculating, so smart. And then it's like, he meets this woman and he can't make smart decisions. It's the Bill Belichick. I mean, it's like, like we watch this character play out in real life all the time where it's like how many, I mean, I have so many friends who are dating someone who I'm like, this is the worst person for you. You couldn't, if I were to draw up a bad idea, it's this person. And they're like, I love her.
It's like there's always a part of someone's life that's going to be irrational.
Yes.
And that's the irrational part of his life. Yeah. I mean, it's the long shot. But then you also wonder, like, is she this crazy? Like, is this like so different than all his other character stuff? Or is it also similar? I mean, yes, he is a calculated guy, but he doesn't work for the mob. You know what I mean? Like, he's not like an accountant. So there is a thrill to what he's doing. You know what I mean? He's calculating, but within this realm of criminality.
Yes. But within that realm, he seems like, I mean, it's why he gets picked to run the casino.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They're like, you're the one who's sensible.
Yes.
You're the sensible bad guy.
And yes, exactly. And he falls in love. It's actually amazing. They do, for such a movie about like kind of like horrible characters, they do the oldest trope about love at first sight.
Yes.
Where they have, which I find that song so beautiful in that moment where it zooms in on him. It's just like, it's literally fucking, I'm just so obsessed with this movie. It's literally like, what do you call it? What's the fucking West Side Story? But like just in the most, it's just like him watching her throw that guy's coins up, and he falls in love. And you really want to think about that moment that he falls in love, because it's an interesting moment. He falls in love watching her steal money from a guy, and then fuck that guy over. He basically falls in love watching her do what she's going to do to De Niro.
Completely. He knows exactly what he's walking into, and he can't stop himself.
But
and again,
why?
It goes back to also the like, no character is good of like of like even the wife character. Like, they could have just made her a wife.
No, she's horrible.
And instead it's like, we're going, like, she's also from the very first second, she is evil.
She is evil.
She is robbing people.
Yes, she is robbing people. She's not just robbing people, but basically her whole character is there. Robbing people and then being morally outraged when she's caught.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck? You owe me a lot of money. Like, the moral outrage of getting caught.
Yes.
But when De Niro sees that, and he's a guy who knows how to, but he is a guy in the movie, he does bet on long shots. That's how he makes money. Like, whenever they ask him, how do you know, how'd you get Indianapolis or whatever the fuck he says? He's like, well, if I didn't get it, that's why I paid so well. Yeah. So he doesn't like long shots. So is it, when he sees her fuck over that guy and throw the money, is it kind of like when we're on a show and everyone's bombing before us and we're like, well, we'll get it. We'll crack the code. Does he look at her and go like, if anyone, this is a challenge. Yeah. Because he is, he is trying to control her the whole time, and he can't. And that's like the and that's the weird. What's interesting about the movie is this movie does work, but I think it's so subtle about what it's trying to do that like it's a mystery because it's not coming out and saying it. But he is looking. There is this weird thing where he doesn't want to have this trust in a world without trust.
And the fact that he's our moral compass. It's like, it's so crazy because then it's like Sharon ends up being such a horrible character.
Horrible.
I literally, as we were talking, just remembered the daughter taped.
Yes.
And I was like, oh.
Which, once again, it all just makes it feel more real because people in real life are not charming. People in real life, have you seen horrible people? They really are just horrible.
They're horrible. These are all terrible people.
Like, there's none of the movie charm. She's
the fact that
a
Robert
horrible
De Niro
person.
is so horrified by what she did, and it's like you just have to remind yourself, like, he's a bad person.
You are right. You kind of have no choice but to be in his corner. It's like we watch a movie. I mean, it's obviously from his perspective, but it's also like we kind of watch a movie, and whoever is the least awful. Yes. We have to pick that person.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
We go like, oh, okay, I guess that's the closest to what I would do.
But I will say the big step is in Goodfellas, Ray Liotta is the least awful, but he is very charming.
Yes.
So I do think the big change of this is it's the same thing where you choose the least awful person, but he's like an uptight, arrogant asshole.
Yes. He's the worst. And I love it.
It's just so fascinating. And like, he's in love with her, and he wants this trust in a world without trust.
Yeah.
With a woman who is so clearly a hustler.
And so like, and I think this is also the thing where like you think out of the gates like, oh, she's a hustler because she has to be. And then the realization of like, no, she is like terrible.
Yes.
She is a morally completely backwards human.
But you know what it kind of reminds me of in a little way? And maybe in a couple of years, because I did not like Killers of the Flower Moon, I could not get past the whole Leonardo DiCaprio saying he loves her while poisoning her and killing her whole family.
I only made it halfway through the movie.
Well, that's like the thing you're trying to like, I guess you have to kind of wrap your head around to appreciate the movie.
Yeah.
He like loves her, but he's also poisoning her.
Yes. I got to that part.
Yeah. It's a tough movie to watch. And I do think it's like boring, but I guess there's a thing in Scorsese movies that there's a mystery to human nature in it.
Yes.
That is something you don't always see in other movies where you're like, oh, I don't really fully understand. Like the mystery of him being really into Sharon Stone and wanting it to work.
Yes.
Feels like, and maybe that's the thing with Leo, like you really can love someone and kill them. I'm just not able to like.
Well, you go to The Wolf of Wall Street, which is as good as it gets to me.
Yeah, it is not the movie. You're not saying it's like the movie as good as it gets.
No, the movie The Wolf of Wall Street is
It is
so good.
one of the funniest movies of all time.
One of the funniest movies of all time, and so good. And it's the same thing of like our lead moral compass is.
Yes, but he is funny.
He's
He's pretty
very
funny. Like De Niro is not funny. And
yes.
I if a critic goes, "What's the deal?" De Niro's so unappealing. I'm like, you're right.
No, and I hear you. No,
But I feel like I'm
Yeah.
not watching a movie now.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm watching true authenticity.
I buy this.
People
so
in
hard.
real life are really unlikable.
Totally. I mean, I'll tell you what. You work the road as a comic, and you do see just like the amount
People-
of people.
yeah,
the amount
just
of people
awful.
who you're like, the amount of people afterwards who you're like, just during the show you're battling.
Right.
Sometimes on stage I'm battling 4 different and I like to think if I'm doing a good enough job, the crowd doesn't even notice
Yeah.
that I'm battling
Right.
4 different tables. But in my mind, I'm going, this lady keeps responding. This guy's barely paying attention.
Yeah.
This table is just chatty.
Yeah, just awful, yeah.
And you're all 4 different tables are doing it wrong.
Well, you see how people really are by how they treat people who they think are below them.
Yes.
And unfortunately,
Which
as
we
a comedian,
Yeah, which we are. Which
we
we-
get to see how everyone treats us.
Yes.
But it is like,
Do you get the thing that my favorite is when people are like, so do you make money doing this? You're like,
like they're.
yeah, you're like, you paid to see this.
Yeah.
So surely you must see how I would make some
One time
money.
I was literally at a club and I somehow it turned into a Q&A. I don't do that, but I guess it's so rowdy.
Sure.
I had to do whatever. And one person literally asked, "What brings you to Florida?" Like they couldn't understand that the thing I was doing in front of them was the reason. Like they assumed I must have had another reason.
Yeah,
and then I just did this for fun.
It's so crazy to me when people say
Yeah.
that.
But like with the with Casino, let me check. Oh shit, we've really gone beyond time. Are you okay? Do I need
Yeah, no.
You're okay?
Yeah, we're
I mean, I don't want to. We'll
No,
wrap it up
no.
soon.
We can go as long. I don't want to brag. I'm sort of famous for doing the longest podcast episode on every show I do. Every podcast, they're like, this is unusable.
It is just.
And I'm like, yeah, no, it's my thing.
We won't go too much longer, but it's just so. It's just interesting. Well, we probably started late too. I think maybe a little, but
Who cares?
But it's Casino's just one of those movies I just don't. Yeah, it's like I don't fully ever get it, and it's like him like being into her, and like she's so crazy and he can't stop loving her. It just gets to that part of life where someone's just kind of irrational, and like it's so many people where you're like there's a part of you that it doesn't make sense.
Truly,
You know?
it's how many people in our life. There's people in my life who are married to somebody who I'm like, they're bad.
Yeah,
They're a bad person.
yeah,
You know they're bad. I know they're bad. We've had the conversation. I've had
Yeah.
the brave friend conversation
Yeah.
of like, your partner is bad.
yeah,
And they were like, and it wasn't like they were like, how dare you? They were like, totally,
yeah.
100%. I know it. And then you see a week later and they're like, we talked about it. I'm gonna keep writing this out. And you're like, all right.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's so human to me though. That is real.
That is very human, and it's the human part of him. Like
Yeah.
he is so cold in every other way,
Yes.
and just like an asshole.
And when she comes crawling back every time,
Yeah.
he's like, you promise.
it's actually crazy. Like when you rewatch it, you forget. But after the first time, I kept on thinking, does she come back like 12 different times? It feels like so
She comes back
insanely
so many
repetitive.
times.
And that's another part that's like, it is so unappealing to watch, and it makes it just so much more real.
Yes.
Like the amount of times she comes back most screenwriters would be like, we can only do this like twice at best. But the amount of times, like she tries to kill him, kidnap her kid, it shows the actual horrible repetitiveness of relationships, which is real. Like
it's so real to me. I'm like, I watched that movie and I'm like, I know 5 people.
Yeah.
In like not this intense.
It just keeps going on and
but
on.
like
and on.
people who I'm like, just get divorced.
I know a comic, someone who's just in a horrible relationship. They keep on going on, and it just never stops. They break up, they keep on getting back.
Yep.
And it's been so many times that I'm literally like, you're making me lose meaning in life by the fact that you can't overcome this. Like, it's actually really depressing.
Yes, it's like but like I'm sure it's because it's some of my friends who do this. It's like these are accomplished, talented people.
Yeah.
Who have withstood crazy adversity in their life, like just even being a comic. It's like just the amount it's one of the things when people are like, are comics friends? I'm like, every comic is usually friends with other comics because you have to overcome so much to get to a certain point. Right. That like we all have such respect for like, oh, we had
to lose our souls.
You had to do you sat in the trenches. Yeah. And now you're here. Like, of course I respect you.
And the trenches being 12 years in and someone else like down the street selling out who didn't sit in the trenches.
Yes.
The trenches is watching other people who didn't sit in the trenches.
The trenches is realizing none of this is fair.
And that a lot of people skip the trenches realizing a lot of people skip the trenches.
But then you know who was in the trenches.
Right.
You like
you see that in the
have
deadness of their eye. Yeah.
Respect for those people. Granted, it is going more and more. I am blown away by older comics who just like who are just like, I'm going to embrace the new young thing, whether what they did in the trenches was there or not.
Yeah.
Like, I always counted on the older comics to be like, no, obviously not.
Yeah.
You know, like, if that's what these kids want to watch on Instagram, fine. But, like, we all know what real. And like, some of the older ones giving in. I'm like,
yeah. Just doing TikTok face fronting videos.
Yeah. But these people in the trend. But, yeah, all of us doing this. And then it's like they have a girl and they're like, or guy.
Well, you can't be completely rational. You need that outlet. You know what I mean? You need some crazy. Everyone has to have some crazy part of themselves, a little. You know,
totally.
And he has that, and it's really. I mean, it gets really. I mean, the question also is it like, is it all? Is it who knows what real love is? But is it mostly the ego of thinking you can fucking crack this code with this woman, or is it like? But you know, it also works kind of symbolically if you think about it, because here he is trying to pretend to be legitimate, right? And he loves that illusion. And what is he trying to do? He's trying to make a hustler into a regular wife.
Yes.
So it's like him trying to. Her is, and maybe that's like the metaphor in the movie that like it's so subtle that the movie works even if you're not aware of it, but it's there. So, but it is him. He's trying to make her legitimate the way he's trying to make himself legitimate.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And he fails.
And he fails.
He fails. He'll have moments where it works, and it always will fail because people are who they are.
They are who they are, and that is the divine. There's a weird thing where the movie does deal with like he is in hell, the whole opening in the fire.
Yeah,
with that, like it is like a movie about sin, and even says what casinos do to mobsters is what like lords does to, or like lepers. But I think there's another part. It's like a morality car wash. That's what he says. Yeah. So it's the idea of like kind of. The idea of trying to break free from your sins, you know, he's still looking for redemption.
Which is true of, I mean, it is like the perfect place for this movie because it is like casinos are that. Like,
yes.
Every time I do a gig in a casino, and I like casinos.
Yeah.
I find them to be genuinely fun.
Yeah.
But anytime I'm in one, I'm always like, it's unique
hell.
World.
Yeah.
Well, you see some of a casino is a place where there is such joy and sadness on the same place.
Yes.
Like you see people who you're like, you've lost your life to misery in this one place.
Yes.
You cannot get through this.
Yes.
And then you see other people having the absolute time of their lives.
Yeah. Well, it's because there's tourists and then there's people who like, you know, it's that mix. Atlantic City, it's all the people at the end of the rope. Mm-hmm. But in Vegas, it's like a mix of like people who are at the end of the rope and just like a bachelor
I mean, Vegas,
party.
I mean, for hacks, we lived in a casino for a week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we lived in the Fontainebleau for a week. And like the craziest part is like we would film at like particularly our first 2 days was like 3 a.m. call time and like 5 a.m. call time.
Oh, Jesus.
And you would come down these elevators and you would come out and there's just people.
Yeah.
And you're just like, and it was truly just like it's 4 a.m. and you're just like everybody here is out of their mind.
And you'll see like old ladies who like have very little left on earth, and you're like, they should be like trying to catch every sunrise, and instead they're just like looking face to face with a slot machine. You know what I mean? It's funny we talk about young people being addicted to their phones, but you have women from like the Great Depression just staring at a slot machine for the last moments of their lives.
Yes.
I mean, Casino. This movie does feel like hell. I mean, you have 3 characters, and then they all pretty much try to kill each other by the end. I mean, she tries to put a hit on him. Pesci, I think, is the one who does the bomb. I believe. I'm not. I
don't know if it's confirmed.
Andy's a Jew,
But like,
he'll tell you something that you already knew. Your favorite movie sucks. Your favorite movie sucks. American Beauty or Forrest Gump. Your favorite movie sucks.